All right, now you should be able to see my screen. For those of you that are online, obviously those of you that are calling in, you're not going to be able to see the slides, but you will be able to get the recording and see the slides. So this training is 3 essential levels of a real breakthrough in your life and in your business. And this is a Mary Kay only training just because that's the only people that we invited. Otherwise, this is applicable to everything in life. And what I want to do is talk about what it takes to have an actual breakthrough. You know, a lot of people talk about breakthroughs. I think it's a word that we use sort of carelessly. I think transformation is another word that we use carelessly. And today on this call, I want to really break this down. There are 3 levels to it. And there are no shortcuts. There are no secrets. There are no manipulations. There are no magic bullets. There are no magic pills. There are no hacks. There's just reality. And one reality is that this session is somewhat of a risk. For me to do this session is somewhat risky, and I'll explain why. Almost nobody is interested in what they need. Hang on a second, guys. People are that they're muting themselves. So almost nobody is interested in what they need. Pretty much everybody is interested in what they want. They're interested in the outcomes. They're interested in quick outcomes. And that's fine. The human brain is wired that way. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you're a loser, or you're inadequate, or you're unmotivated, or anything like that if you want quick outcomes. We all do. I don't think your brain would be working properly if you didn't want a quick outcome. So we all want the things that we want, but the reality is that just chasing what we want is not going to ever really get us what we really need. Hang on a sec, guys. People are coming in and unmuting themselves. So I think they're doing it on accident, but it's still happening. So the reality is that almost nobody wants what they need, but I can't do that. I can't pretend that it's possible to get the things that we all just want, that our intellect wants. I can't tell you what will satisfy the intellect without telling you what I know to be true. And the truth is, in order to get what we want, we have to get what we need first. Now, I know that most of you have been in personal development for a long, long time, so none of that is probably new to you, but the reality is most people are living that way. So it doesn't matter if we intellectually understand that we have to do some work on ourselves, or that we have to go through some things that might be uncomfortable in order to get what we want. It doesn't matter if we understand that. If we're not doing those things, or we are still experiencing the fears and the challenges and all the things that we could otherwise get rid of, but we haven't, then intellectual understanding of that process is actually more dangerous, because your mind will convince you that you already know this. But knowing it and doing it, or knowing it and being it, or knowing it and experiencing it are totally different things. So if we allow our intellect to tell us what we already know versus what we don't know, and all we do is think that if we're not getting what we want in life, then it must be because we don't know something, then we're going to constantly go on an intellectual search for knowledge, and that's not ever the problem. Unless you're at the very, very beginning of your journey. So when we allow our intellect to filter the information according to whether we know it or not, we're doing ourselves a huge disservice. The only question that really matters is, do we do this? Is this habit? So most of us understand all kinds of things about fears, yet we still have the fears that stop us from doing the things that we want to do. So then knowing how to get rid of the fear that you haven't gotten rid of is pointless. So it's not about knowledge. It's about really experiencing the shifts that we can have as human beings if we know what to do. So I'm at a point in my life where I just don't want to, I don't want to talk about the stuff that doesn't really matter to me. I don't want to talk about quick fixes. I don't want to talk about hacks. I don't want to talk about magic pills. I just want to talk about and talk with people who are also committed to three things: growth, freedom, and connection. Committed to those things, not interested in those things, but committed to growing, committed to freedom, doing whatever it takes to get free of whatever limitations they have, and doing whatever it takes to create the kind of connection that's available here on this planet, in this human form that we're in. There's a level of connection that almost, well, I don't want to say almost nobody, but a lot of people don't experience in their life. There's a connection to themselves. There's a connection to their hearts. There's a connection to joy. There's a connection to their bodies. There's a connection to their customers, to their team, to the prospects, to the planet. There's a connection that most people don't have enough of. And that's one of the reasons why we stay stuck in our doubts, and why we stay stuck in our fears, and why we stay restricted by all of these things, because we don't have the connection to overpower that stuff. And for the most part, it's because we're living an intellectual life instead of an embodied life. And I'm going to get into that more in a little bit, the distinction between the two. And one of the things that doesn't work is us beating ourselves up. Listen, the reality is we're all doing the best we can with the resources that we have. What most people are doing is, when they're not getting what they want out of life, they beat themselves up. They judge themselves as not being smart enough, or not being committed enough, or not doing whatever it takes from a judgmental standpoint, and that'll never empower you. It might scare you to do certain things, but when you do those things, those behaviors are going to be built on threats. They're going to be built on lack of love. They're going to be built on hate. They're going to be built on anger. They're going to be built on shame. They're going to be built on all these negative emotions that most people are trying to use to motivate themselves. And even if you succeed being fueled by negative emotions, that's a failure in my opinion. That's never going to be sustainable if it's built with poisonous fuel, if it's built on a poisonous foundation that's toxic, that doesn't have love and encouragement and empowerment. So we're trying the best we can, and it doesn't do us any good to beat ourselves up for not being better than what we are. And let's take a look at what's causing us to fall short. But the reality is most people are actually expecting themselves to be able to do things that are not possible. And I'm talking about your body's functioning. I'm talking about biological restrictions. I'm talking about our neurology. So most people are expecting themselves to get rid of their fears, to do the activities to build their business, to go out and warm chat, to follow up, to do all the things that are going to build your business. And Mary Kay, you know what's going to build your business. Most people are expecting themselves to do those things without any resistance, without any fears, without any discomfort, without any doubts, without any worry. Most people are expecting their brains to do something that their brains quite literally cannot do, which is to remove all fears. For whatever reason, we get this thinking that step number one is to remove your fears, and step number two is to take action towards your goals. Fears can only be removed with action. Fears are not removed before action. Fears can only be removed during action. And some fears can never be removed. So a lot of people misunderstand how the human brain actually works. And that misunderstanding causes an expectation that will determine people's level of commitment. So if you have an expectation that your brain is supposed to act a certain way and your brain doesn't act that way, then you're not going to be as committed. Maybe you're going to decide that your brain isn't as powerful or as strong or as committed as somebody else's brain, or you are not deserving of success the way somebody else is. You're going to have some kind of negative judgment, but really it starts with the expectations that are actually false. You cannot get rid of the resistance. And every time you work on yourself and do the internal stuff and bust through barriers and become a director or enter DIQ or offspring somebody, you're going to have new resistance. And what most people do is they take that resistance as a sign of something bad. They take the resistance as a sign of weakness. They take the resistance as a sign to stop, or as a sign to slow down, or as a justification for why they should take some time off, or it just shows up in their language of disempowerment. Oh, I know what to do, but every time I pick up the phone, I get fears, I get doubts, I get worries, I get scared. Great, that means you're human. That means your brain's working properly. That is not a justification to not take action. That means you're going in the right direction. And if you really want to do the work that can remove those fears, then we can do that as well. So the truth about real success is that anybody can intellectually decide in any given moment that they're going to change their life. And those decisions are fueled by willpower. And those are intellectual decisions made by the mind based on something that we heard or saw or felt. So we decide we're going to change our life right now. Never again are we going to fall for all the stuff that we fell for in the past. And never again are we going to have any fears. And never again are we going to have any doubts. And this is the year that I'm going to get everything that I want, because right now I can feel it. I'm unstoppable. That's an intellectual momentary decision. That's all it is. Now, I'm not taking anything away from that. We all need those things. But that by itself will get you as far as the willpower lasts. And for most people, it's very, very short. This is the process. It's because willpower is only a certain kind of fuel. It's not a long-lasting fuel. It is a quick-burning, shallow, intellectual fuel. And that's what most people are trying to change their life fueled by. That's why, one of the main reasons why it doesn't work. So it's not you. You're not the problem. You're not unhelpable. You're not unmotivated. You're not unfocused. You're just using the wrong fuel. You're using a fuel that only lasts a very short amount of time, but then probably expecting it to last forever. And then probably getting frustrated when it burns off and when you don't have that same intellectual willpower that you did at seminar or at leadership or at your meeting or after reading a book or after just having some tremendously empowering thoughts. That kind of willpower only lasts a very short period of time. It's important to have those decisions because we need to make the choice that we're going to change our life. But from that point forward, you're going to, if you're serious about this and committed to what you can actually create in this planet, on this planet, you're going to spend the rest of your life changing your life. And those changes have to come at the neurological level. So you can intellectually decide to change your life, but then you'll neurologically be changing your life from that point forward. Because what needs to change is your neurology. What needs to change, is the programming that you've got. What needs to change is what's already in your body. What needs to change is the habits that have produced the results that you don't want anymore. So if those habits don't change, then the results can't change. So we need to make those foundational shifts if we want the results to change, but most people just live on that intellectual willpower that doesn't have the power to change the habits and the memories and the embodied conflicts and all these things I'm going to get into in a moment. It doesn't have the power to do that stuff. So before I go on any further, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me. And for those of you that are that have been on my calls before, I'm going to I'm going to tell a little bit different story. I usually don't talk about myself and what I've done the way I'm going to talk tonight. And part of it is because, you know, my ego doesn't like to sound like I'm bragging and stuff, but I really want you to understand where I'm coming from and what I've been doing for 13 years so that you get the context of everything I'm talking about. So in 2005, I had a massive breakthrough with a life coach in a breakthrough seminar. And I just decided at that time that I wanted everybody to feel what I felt. I felt lighter. I felt different. People started seeing me differently. People started asking what happened to me. People started telling me I was smiling too much. I had what I now call a neurotransformation. My neurology changed. My body changed. I felt it. The energy shifted, and other people started confirming it by asking me questions about what happened and then wanting me to help them feel the same way that they think I feel or they could tell that I feel. So I decided then that people need to feel this, and I was driven by that neurological experience that I had in my body. And then a short time later, the very next year, actually 2006, I was brought into the world of Mary Kay. I did one event after a little bit of resistance and discomfort. I wasn't excited about going in the Mary Kay world because I didn't know anything about the Mary Kay world. I did one event, fell in love with the energy that's in the room, fell in love with the company, fell in love with people that just want to change their life. And I've been coaching, training, speaking, teaching in the Mary Kay world ever since. So I've been doing this work for 13 years specifically in Mary Kay, and I've been studying embodied sabotage. What that means is, how do our bodies sabotage us? How does everything that's non-intellectual get in the way of what our intellect wants us to be able to do? Our intellect is very clear on what we want. Our intellect thinks it knows what to do, and most of the times it does know what to do. It just doesn't do them. Most of us don't have a lack of awareness about the things to do. Most of you know that if you were to do 3 skincare classes every single week, your business would be transformed. I've never met a woman in Mary Kay that didn't know that. Yet in all the times that I've asked that question, hardly anybody actually raises their hand. Now, I'm not saying that to be demeaning in any way. That means that we know what to do, but we're not doing it. So the intellect is not the answer here. The intellect already knows what to do. You already know how to get names and numbers. You already know that you should follow up with people. You already know the ways to get customers. You already know how to and why to share the business. You already know all those things. But if I had to bet my life, I would say every single one of us is, myself included, is not doing what we know. And then what we tend to do is search for more knowledge, and all that does is frustrate us further. If our current amount of knowledge is not enough to get us out of our way and into our goals and dreams, then more knowledge also won't be enough. I promise you that. The anchor that's holding us back is embodied. It's in our bodies. It's in our cells. It's in our programming. It's in our memories. It's in the default choices that we make without our intellect even being involved. That's what I've been studying for the last 13 years. And I've published thousands of videos, articles, audios, thousands and thousands of hours I've published on this stuff. So I've been teaching this pretty much nonstop for 13 years. I've spent over 350 days in seminar rooms, deep dive seminars, breakthrough coaching, neurotransformation, studying human behavior. I'm telling you all this just to let you know I've been swimming in this ocean constantly for 13 years, constantly. I've been blessed to speak with and train with some of the big people in the industry. Jack Canfield is a name that some of you might know. Lisa Nichols is a name that some of you might know. I've spoken with them. I've taught for them. I've taught programs under their brands. I've spoken in the United States, Canada, Colombia, Greece, Costa Rica, India. I've spoken all over the place on this work. I've been on every major TV network. I've done this constantly for 13 years. The reason I tell you that is because I just want you to know where I come from, and I want you to know how much I've studied this, and really, I want you to know that I know what I'm talking about. I want you to know that when I tell you what is possible and how you need to get there, I want you to know that I know what I'm talking about. Because honestly, one of the hardest things to do in my work, and specifically in my business with Mary Kay, is getting people to believe what's possible. If you can't believe that changing is possible, then it doesn't matter how many skills I or a coach or Tony Robbins or anybody else has, they can't help you because you've decided you can't change. So I need you to believe that change is possible, and then I can help you change. If you're unwilling to believe that change is possible because you've tried it before in the past and it never worked, or it might have worked for a short period of time and then it fell, you fell off, that doesn't mean that change is impossible. That just means that the recipe you were following before didn't work, or it didn't work long term. But please understand, everything that I'm saying today is based on thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of research and training and doing this work myself. So, what is required in a breakthrough? The first thing that's required in a breakthrough is resistance. Your intellect will hate the idea that you're actually going to go after the same goals and dreams that your intellect has spent a long time trying to keep you from. Not because it doesn't want you to succeed, because it doesn't want you to risk the danger that it thinks you have to risk in order to jump over this gigantic trench to go for those goals and dreams. Your intellect will hate the idea of you going after your heart's goals. And so when people make a commitment and they take action and they feel the resistance, especially when the heat gets turned up a bit, they think that's a sign to stop. I'm telling you, that's a sign that you're going in the right direction. The hotter it gets, the closer you are. It's kind of like that game of, I don't know what the name of that game is, but colder, hotter, right? Somebody's going somewhere, you're getting colder, you're getting colder, you're getting hotter, you're getting hotter. When you're getting hotter, that means you're closer to the thing that you're trying to find. I can't believe in 13 years I've never come up with that analogy until right now. Because that's when most people turn around and run. But in that game and in this world of transformation, that means keep going in that direction. When we're hearing or when we're feeling that we're getting hotter, that means we're getting closer. But the intellect does not like that heat. The intellect does not like any kind of disruption. The intellect does not like being out of control. The intellect spends its entire time trying to make sure that you are safe, protected, and under control for the rest of your life. Well, listen, it is impossible to evolve as a human with any of those three things, and your intellect is going to try to keep all of those three things intact. So when you feel the heat, know that you're going in the right direction. You're disrupting the things that need to be disrupted. Your intellect's going to throw a tantrum, but that's all it can do is throw a tantrum, because what we're doing is we're challenging the knots that the intellect has tied. That's all we're doing. And there is no such thing as a comfortable path to a new territory. So if you want a new level of joy in your life, you can't do it with any path that's comfortable to you. If you want a new level of success, you're not going to find a comfortable path to that new level of success. You're not going to find a path that's already pre-paved because you've already walked down all those paths. You're not going to find anything other than an open, no path, not even a trail in front of you. You're going to have to hack the weeds down. You're going to have to lay the cement. You're going to have to blaze that trail. And I know intellectually we all understand that, but most of us are demanding that the path be comfortable. We're demanding it's comfortable by our actions, by what we're choosing to invest our time and energy and money into. one of the things that we can take a look at is how are we investing our time, energy, and money? Are we investing it into growth activities, or are we investing it into comfort activities? So there is no comfortable path to a new territory. And the reality is you're either in or you're out. You cannot change the rules of human behavior. That's a rule of human behavior, and you can't change it. Everybody wants to, myself included. We all want to. None of us enjoy discomfort. We can just get to the point where we understand the necessity of it, and we enjoy what's after us pushing through the discomfort. But nobody's going to enjoy the actual experience of discomfort. But you can't change the rules. If you want to change your programming, you have to play by the rules of what's required to change the programming. And when we're trying to change the rules, or when we're not totally, unconditionally, unconsciously committed, then one of the things that happens is that we get really distracted. And in today's world, social media, the new internet, all the things that are out there, all the potential links to click on, all the potential devices that we can watch TV on nowadays, all the apps that we have, there's so many distraction options out there. And a lot of people get frustrated with themselves because they think distractions is something that they should just be able to turn off consciously. When it's your conscious mind that's chasing them. So you're not going to be able to just consciously turn off your distractions. If you find yourself getting distracted a lot, that's not a gene that you have or a trait that you have. That just means you're not unconsciously committed to the success. A lot of people are frustrated by all the emails that distract them while they have their email open. Or they're frustrated by the notifications that keep distracting them while their notifications are on. They get frustrated by the people that are trying to get their attention on their phone while their phone is on. We're asking for the distractions when we're not unconsciously committed, and then our brains oftentimes are literally not able to resist the temptations of the dopamine hits, to resist the temptations of the little notifications. We're not able to do those things. These platforms, these companies spend a lot of money trying to figure out how to addict the human brain. How do you get the human brain addicted? So most of the things that we experience, we are following a path of addiction that's intentionally created to get us addicted. Now, why would they do that? Well,
Can't hear you. Are you there?
All of a sudden it stopped.
Are you there, Sean?
distractions, then expect yourself to not be distracted. You've got to not get into the pool, and the way you do that is there has to be an unconscious commitment. Not just a conscious commitment based on willpower, there has to be an unconscious commitment. And then you become undistractable instead of fighting the distractions. Now, another truth that I think is really important to understand is that while you're doing this work, you're not going to find joy and happiness and fulfillment in the achievement of the things, in the achievement of the tangible success. You're not going to find fulfillment there, because fulfillment is based on your values. Fulfillment is not based on your accomplishments. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with wanting to achieve success or wanting money. I want a lot of money. I want all kinds of tangible things. I've just learned that those tangible things are not ever going to make me happy. They're not going to fill my heart. When you think and expect that your accomplishments are going to fill your heart with fulfillment, you will be disappointed. And the reason this is important is because if you've tried that before, if you've accomplished things in Mary Kay or anywhere else in your life, and you haven't felt fulfilled, then trying to motivate yourself to achieve those goals that your unconscious mind knows is not going to fulfill you is going to be very, very difficult. Because your mind knows last time we achieved something, not only did it not fulfill us, it actually made us feel worse. That's a human story. That doesn't mean anything negative with Mary Kay. The achievement of tangible goals does not give us happiness and fulfillment. We can look back and enjoy the process. What really usually gives us the joy and the fulfillment is how hard we worked. The pride that we have in ourselves for getting up after we got knocked down, for staying committed, for doing the work, for busting through the obstacles. That's where the fulfillment actually comes from. The intellect enjoys the tangible success, but the intellect cannot give us fulfillment. The intellect is not a fulfillment mechanism. It's not an emotional mechanism. It can't give us joy. So most people are believing that achieving the success is what's going to make their heart happy, and they're sorely, sorely mistaken. And if you are continually disappointed like that, then pretty soon your mind, here's the thing, your mind will stop, your mind won't just stop listening to you when you say, if I get this goal, I'm going to feel really good. Your mind will stop listening to you about getting goals. I want you to really understand how important that is to grasp. If we keep disappointing ourselves through achievements that don't fulfill us, then the mind pretty soon will no longer be interested in achievements. And now we're not consciously or unconsciously committed. And yet we have tons and tons and tons of knowledge. So searching for happiness inside success is always going to be a failure. So we've got this constant battle of mind versus body. And I want to dive into what I mean by your body to give you hopefully a better understanding of what's actually at play here. When it comes to achievement, it's way more important for you to understand the behavior than it is for you to understand the behavior. And if you didn't catch the play on words there, you are the one doing the behaving. It's more important to understand you than it is to try to understand the rules of behavior. We already understand the rules. You understand that you're supposed to pick up the phone and make phone calls and ask people if they're interested in certain things, and your business is supposed to explode. Your intellect rather knows that. That's the formula. But if you're not doing it, then that means you don't need to understand the behavioral rules anymore. You already got that down. You need to understand the behavior. You, the one that's not following through with the behavior. Knowing more rules about the behavior is actually going to cause more frustration. It's going to take you in the wrong direction. Chasing more intellectual knowledge will never be the answer. I promise you that. Unless you are brand new in the business, brand new in personal development. But most of us, after honestly a few short days, we have more information than we need to get in motion. And the intellect just keeps packing on more and more and more information. So this is really about understanding you more than it is understanding what to do. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, and many of you have probably said this so many times, I don't understand why I don't do what I know how to do. Yeah, well, I'm going to change that phrase for you. I'm trying to play with the words here in a clever way. Instead of I don't understand why I don't do what I know how to do, you can just say I don't understand me. Because if you don't understand why you're afraid of the phone calls, then knowing that you're supposed to make phone calls won't do anything. Other than just give you more reasons to beat yourself up. So I want you to understand why the idea of making phone calls is creating the resistance, and then let's handle that. That's the embodiment piece. That's where your body is trumping your mind. Your mind knows the script. Your mind knows what to do. Your mind is totally, completely intellectually prepared, but your body goes, nope, I don't want to do it. And I'm going to make us nauseous. I'm going to make us scared. I'm going to give us so many thoughts of all the other things that we're supposed to do to be a good wife or a good mom, or all the justifications as to why I shouldn't do this. That's your body getting in the way. And then we succumb to the body because we feel the feelings that don't make us feel good, and then we decide, oh, this means we probably shouldn't do this. But the reality is all of those things can be shifted. Your body is like a recipe. You have a recipe of beliefs and experiences and memories, and all these things collectively form your body. And I don't just mean your physical body, but some of the things I'm talking about are stored in your physical cells. But I mean the whole collection, the collection of emotions and thoughts and neurology and cellular memory and state of mind, all these things that are beyond the container of the intellect is what I'm referring to as your body. And that is what's going to determine whether you will give yourself permission to succeed or not. So my mission is to let people know what's possible. I mean, the world needs healing. The world needs connection. The world needs neurological shifts. The world needs embodied freedom. And if you knew what was possible, if you actually knew what was possible, you wouldn't waste another second on anything that isn't going to drive you there. If I could take you to experiencing total freedom in your body, in your mind, in your relationships, joy in your heart, everything that you're wanting, if I could take you there, let you live there for a few days, and then pull you back to any level of restriction, you would immediately run through whatever wall you need to run through, because you will know what was possible because you lived it. But most people don't really truly know what's possible, so they're just coping with everything that's going on in their life. And what I've learned, what I know to be true, what I want people to understand is that you don't have to struggle. You don't have to cope with the behaviors and the habits and the sabotaging patterns that you currently have. You don't have to try so hard. If life in business feels really hard, then something's off. Something's misaligned. You're in conflict. If you try to just go harder, the best thing you can do is momentarily overpower the conflict, but you're not going to change anything that's creating the experience of the journey being hard. And you definitely don't have to pretend. You don't have to pretend anything. You don't have to pretend that you're somebody else. You don't have to pretend that you're not human. You don't have to pretend anything. This journey is supposed to be authentic, it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be successful. Now, if you are sabotaging yourself, or you're achieving a lot but you're not feeling that fulfillment and happiness, it's because of two things: protection and projection. Protection from experiences that you've had in the past, and projection of expectations that you have based on past experiences and hoping for future experiences. That's how those expectations work. So if your body is committed to protecting itself from from experiences from the past, and then your head is projecting all these expectations onto people, then you're totally out of control of your life. You're not in control of your own experiences. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust your body, and you're certainly not in control of what anybody else does. So we've got to get control back here. Now, the three levels that I spoke about, you can't, if those of you that can't see a slide right now, there are three main levels. On the slide, it's a pyramid, and you can see three chunks of the pyramid. The 3 levels of transformation. The top level are actions, behaviors, and patterns. That's really what all of us are trying to change, basically. We're trying to just make ourselves be more committed, make ourselves be more disciplined, etc. The middle layer is confidence and self-esteem. And then the bottom layer is what I'm calling neuro-conflicts, neurological conflicts. These are the embodied conflicts. So the top layer of actions, behaviors, patterns, all the things that we see on the surface, we notice ourselves doing, those are conscious and those are intellectual in nature. The bottom layer is unconscious. You're not aware of the values conflicts. You're not aware of the embodied fears that you have. You're not aware of the memories. I mean, you're aware of some memories, but you're not aware of how the memories are operating in your life. You're not aware of those things. Those are unconscious. And those are in your body. Now, the middle layer then is caught in between those two things. See, most women in Mary Kay that I've talked to, they will say one of the things they need is more confidence. But they don't know how to create more confidence. And if you just go top down and you try to create more confidence from your intellectual perspective, it is impossible. And the reality is nobody needs more confidence, because confidence cannot be increased or decreased in the way that we're thinking about it. The way confidence can be increased is simply by doing something, some physical task over and over and over again. But that is not what anybody that I've ever talked to in Mary Kay is actually referring to. Even though they're languaging it as confidence, what we're actually talking about is self-esteem. Most people have self-esteem problems, not confidence problems. And self-esteem is finite. You're not going to increase self-esteem or decrease self-esteem by your successes or your failures. Although your intellect thinks that if you succeed, then you should feel better about yourself, and if you don't succeed, then you shouldn't feel better about yourself. That's all a fallacy. That's the intellectual mind trying to keep us safe and trying to keep us in our comfort zone. The reality is the self-esteem that's trapped in between these two layers has to be released and uncovered from the bottom. It has to be a bottom-up approach, not a top-down approach. Top-down is the way everybody is trying it, that's struggling. That's the way we're taught. Oh, you're not doing the work? Well, do the work. Oh, you're eating different things than you should be eating? Well, stop eating those things and eat these other things. And start exercising. And just do your goals and do your affirmations and do these things and you'll get what you want. Well, the knowledge of what to do, again, is not the problem. So if you go from a top-down approach, that's not going to uncover that second level of self-esteem, because the self-esteem is covered up by the top level, by all the intellectual problems. So you're not going to go that way. And top-down is willpower driven. It's never going to be sustainable. Again, you can force yourself to take actions, but you're never going to be able to sustain long-term with that approach. And as soon as your willpower is gone, you're going to have to get your willpower back. But the bottom-up approach is where we can actually change the foundation. We can actually change the way your brain and your body has been programmed. So one of the things that I've been telling a lot of my clients recently and people that are going to live events is you are not the one that's afraid of the phone. It's your programming that's afraid of the phone. You are not the one that's not doing the work. It's your programming. You are not the one that's sabotaging yourself. It's the programming. And so if you want to get what you want in life and in business, then we just have to change the programming. You cannot leave the programming the same and expect the programming to give you different results. We know that. We hear that all the time. Expecting different results from the same recipe is I'm forgetting the word now. It's crazy. It's whatever the word is. It's lunacy. Definition of insanity. That's what it is. I was forgetting that word. So we've got to change the programming. Now, here's a piece of programming that is so critical to understand, especially women. Again, I've been doing this work for a long, 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 long time. Long time. What I've learned after coaching primarily women for 13 years is that most women are neurologically afraid of success and visibility to some degree. But, of course, especially Mary Kay, you are intellectually seeking success and visibility. You can't rise through the ranks in Mary Kay and not get more visible and obviously become more successful. The intellect wants you to become a director, wants you to become a senior director, wants you to rise through the ranks, wants you to become a national. The intellect wants you to be successful like that, but your body does not want you to be successful in the form of visibility. And this is an individual conversation for each of us, because we all decided at different times in our lives that being visible was unsafe. And for some of us, it's actually almost a life or death trigger. For some of us, the trauma that we experienced while being visible, like let's say there was abuse in your home, or there was just a lot of instability in your house, a lot of yelling, a lot of fighting, your body actually is trying to protect your visibility because it thinks that it's going to be harmed. That's what your body thinks. Your brain, of course, knows that nobody's going to harm us at the Mary Kay meeting, skincare classes are safe, but your body might be fully committed to not being visible. It's just the way the body works. All of us have a fear of visibility to some degree. And really, it's not whether we are seen or not. It's really whether people see our humanity, whether they see our authenticity. So a lot of people are actually visible in life, not just talking about Mary Kay. A lot of people are actually visible, but they're not authentically visible because there's still a fear of visibility there. So most women have a neurological fear of success. And honestly, a lot of this is because of programming that women uniquely have experienced over the years and the decades and the centuries of women only having a certain place in society and having this fight to try to even be equal and to try to enter the workforce and try to get around some of the programmed roles of women in society. And so a lot of these things have nothing at all to do with Mary Kay. This is neurological programming specifically for women. And that has to be handled. So the reality of a breakthrough and what most people are searching for versus what is actually required. A true breakthrough requires individual neurological changes. Individual neurological changes. Change is self-explanatory. Neurological means there's got to be changes in the foundation of your program. There's got to be changes in your body. And then individual means we've got to look at you. What most people are demanding is general intellectual understanding. Please, if you're not believing me because of what I'm saying, then just trust me. Based on thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, I have yet to find a single human being, not a single human being, that has made any significant changes in their lives that last beyond their willpower with any of those three things. And most people are chasing all of them. Most people are demanding general intellectual understanding. How am I defining demanding? It's because that's what people are investing their time, energy, and money into. If you're asking how to get rid of the fear of speaking or the fear of phone calls, you're asking the wrong question. There is no such thing as the fear of phone calls that has a solution to it. You have the resistance. You've got to be asking, how can I change this programming? Remember, understanding the behavior is more important than understanding the behavior. Yet most people are searching for the general ways, the rules. How can I understand how to operate? And yet, not a single person that I've ever met has ever, not once, not even close, not ever in any area of life achieved any significant shifts with the recipe that almost everybody is following. I hope that's landing for you as clearly as it is in my head. I can feel this like vibrating in my body. This is a recipe that does not work, cannot work, has not worked, will not ever work, and yet almost everybody is following it. And some of the frustrations that I hear, people are like, yeah, no, I've done this work on myself, but I still have the fear. Well, clearly, you haven't done the work, or you haven't done the work that needs to be done. And you've probably been following a general approach. So we've got to be a little more neutral and scientific. That might be a weird word to use when we're talking about personal breakthroughs, but we've got to be a little more scientific. If what we've done for ourselves, if the recipe we've been following and the changes we've been making is not producing what we want, then all that means is we haven't made the right changes. That's it. It doesn't mean that you are not unchangeable, or that the recipe can't ever be changed. You are not changeable is what I meant. It doesn't mean that you're just a lost cause. It means the changes haven't been done. So many people get frustrated when they go, oh, I thought I was done with this. I've been working on this for the longest time. Well, so what? It's still there. It doesn't matter how many times and ways you've tried to get rid of your fear. Your fear is either there or it's not. Period. There's no reason to get more emotional about the fact that you've tried to do this time and time and time again, because that kind of frustration is not going to help. And if it's not going to help, then it's not going to serve you. So it's not necessary. That's why I say more of a scientific approach. What have we tried? And if we're not getting what we want, then we need to try different things. That's it. Now, where most people opt out of this journey is because they misunderstand what the body will do when you start going after these goals or these changes in order to get your goals. The safe intellectual understanding route, which 99.9% of the population is on, that's safe. That's the route that makes sense. That's the route that's clear. That's the route that you understand. Why? Those are all intellectual words. Of course the intellect is going to choose that path. That's the one that has information on it. That's the one that has comfort on it. That's the one that doesn't risk any of our biggest fears on it. At least not short term. It pretty much guarantees all of our fears if we stay committed to that path. But you got to understand, it's safe because your intellect has decided it's safe. But why would we use the problem as the thing that helps us choose which path to take? hello, intellect, you are the problem that is creating almost all of my restriction in my life. Can you tell me which of these paths I should take? It will convince you all day long to do the safe one. Don't take any risks. Play it safe. This is the one that makes sense. And that path provides the comfort that you're looking for. It provides the short-term comfort. But what it does also, and this is beyond the intellect's understanding, what it does also is it imprisons you long-term. Short-term comfort will only lead to long-term restriction. That's the only place that goes. So the individual neurological change path, that means we got to put you under the microscope. That means we got to take a look at what your programming is. Now, it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be emotional. It doesn't have to feel like this deep therapy session. Sometimes people do need to clear their emotions, but it doesn't have to be anything. If your intellect is deciding the way it's supposed to be or the way it has to be, you're using the wrong thing. The intellect will determine that this is the scary path, but the short-term discomfort of whatever feelings are created means that you're breaking ground on the foundation. That's all it means. And the foundation has to change in order to have the long-term freedom that you want. So you just choose. This is one of those things where you're either on this path or that path. It's just that simple. You're either going to be more committed to staying comfortable in your life, or you're going to be more committed to living the life that you want to live. Period. And if you're committed to living the life that you want to live, and you're not currently living that life, then you've got to be committed to the individual neurological uncomfortable change path. That can happen incredibly fast. Incredibly, insanely fast, especially compared to the rest of your life of it not happening. So when we approach these levels, we just explore. From a coaching standpoint or from a transformational standpoint, we want to look at what is your behavior, your individual behavior. I don't care about the fact that you might be doing things that other people do, like resisting making phone calls. I want to know what you're thinking when you get the idea to make a phone call. I want to know what your body is producing in terms of emotions and doubts and thoughts. I want to know your path, because that's all that matters. If we're going to untie the knots, I need to know what your knots are. And then we need to know what your level of confidence and self-esteem is in various different experiences. And then finally, we need to know what's in your body, what's in your programming, what's in your past, what's in your history. What does your body think is safe? What does your body think is risky? We need to know the answers to your specific questions. Otherwise, the best thing we can do is pacify your intellect with a generalized one-size-fits-all copy of a 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 copy approach that doesn't have your name on it. Your intellect will tell you that's the way to be happy in life. And I think one of the saddest things is when the intellect has convinced the heart it's happy when it truly is not. So once we get clear on what the answers are for these questions, now we do the work from bottom up. We do the work from the foundation. We do the work from shifting the actual programming. Now, in a moment, I'm going to tell you about a live event that I've got coming up, and I'll tell you about some free coaching that you can get. But I want to share with you what's possible. I told you earlier, one of the hardest things for us to do is get people to understand what's possible. So I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to just read a lot of success stories and testimonials, way more than I generally do, because I want you to see what's possible. And I've left out hundreds and hundreds of ones that I just didn't put in the slides. And I'm not saying that because this is my work. I actually don't feel any credit for any of these people's transformations. I'm just teaching them the work that changed my life. It's like, yeah, it feels pretty awesome, doesn't it? Yeah, do more of that, right? This isn't my work. I'm just teaching it. So somebody who recently did a coaching call said, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. In all of my reading and studying, this is truly, truly amazing. And when Sean says transformation, this is it. I feel great. I honestly feel great. Transformation is an understatement of what happened to me today. This is one call. This is his first call, only call. This is what he's talking about. This is the type of coaching I want to be a part of. There's no going backward. I trust myself. I love myself. Another person says, this feels different than the coaching I'm experiencing. You've helped transform emotions. I would never think I had been carrying around the boulder. So this woman didn't know that she was carrying around all the emotional baggage that she actually was, because her intellect had convinced herself that those weren't there anymore. That's actually really dangerous when you believe things are gone that are still operating on you. If they're still affecting you in your neurology, if they're still affecting you and you think you've handled them, that's super dangerous, because then it can operate on you unchallenged. And that's where a lot of our neurological conflicts manifest into diseases and illnesses and pain. We don't even understand that something's still down there operating. Another woman says, I feel so much lighter now. I can see the path clearer. I'm not going to deny my anger anymore, but I will let it out in a constructive way, and I will be loving that little child that never got the love. Somebody says, for so many years, I would achieve victory after victory, courts of sharing, courts of sales, pink Cadillacs, unit clubs, triple stars, only to feel a sense of emptiness. But not anymore. You've helped me break through so much disempowerment that was preventing me from living and leading in complete joy and authenticity. Now, I need to say, in no way is this a shot at Mary Kay, even though those are Mary Kay details in there. I'm not saying that anybody who gets a pink Cadillac feels empty, or that you will feel empty. I'm just sharing this one person's experience. This is not a Mary Kay problem. This is what I was talking about earlier. The achievement of tangible success does not have the capacity to fulfill our heart. Not in Mary Kay, not in any other direct sales company, not anywhere on the planet. So this is a tangible success problem, not a Mary Kay problem in any way, shape, or form. So please understand that. Somebody else says, I feel like every single person around me is more positive. I don't even have to say anything, and people self-correct any negative things they say. My husband and I have never been closer. Our 17-year relationship has been pretty good. That has been pretty good. It's 50 times better than it's ever been in every single way, because she did this work. I learned more about human behavior from you than I did with my $40,000 degree in psychology. Now, I'm going to share a few testimonials from our live events, because we actually have one coming up in a very short period of time. I'll give you the details on that in just a couple minutes. This event peeled away the layers that were hiding the limiting beliefs that I had that were affecting my entire life. I feel liberated and unstoppable. I'm strong, and I have nothing to fear now. Another person, you've really opened my eyes and my heart. Not only is this helping me in my Mary Kay business, but my relationship with my kids and husband. In only 2 weeks' time, I can't believe the difference in my mood, outlook, and confidence. If I only get better relationships with my family, especially my stepdaughter, it is worth every cent and more that I've put into it. Another woman says, I am a new woman and my confidence level has increased greatly. Another person says, I was recently in a huge dry spell, but now my sales are soaring. I created the powerful personal definition and immediately more than tripled my sales the very next week. I want you to hear some of these things, because we're not talking about only doing the internal work and only becoming happier and more fulfilled. We're talking about that work actually translating to real success in your business. As long as it's foundational first, then it can be sustainable. Somebody says a life-changing experience. Somebody says, my warm chatting is more effective. I can already see the difference in my approach and in their response. It's amazing. I got rid of baggage that I've been carrying for 45 years. My life has truly been transformed. I've always been a negative person all my life. I woke up this morning feeling empowered and positive, in all caps. And finally, this last woman says, this is the most life-changing workshop I've ever attended. I never believed I could accomplish a big goal before, but now I'm unstoppable. I'm so glad my husband came too, because he's even happier than I am. I shared some of what I learned with a few units at our meeting yesterday. Their response was overwhelming. Tears were flowing, light bulbs were going off, sighs of relief and joy were heard all over the training center, and I only shared a little bit. You brought the joy to booking back for me. Listen to that. You brought the joy to booking back for me. I ended the day with 2 bookings, one on the spot using your quick rapport building tips while I was out shopping, and the other from the 10 phone calls. Thank you so much. My point is, this work can be transformational, and then it can transfer and translate into the tangible success that you're wanting from your business. But you've got to change the recipe. You can't keep going at it intellectually from top down, because then all you're using is willpower to try to change something that willpower cannot change, does not have the capacity to change, never has, never will. Please stop trying to do it that way if you have been doing it that way. So anybody near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or anybody within a drive of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or anybody near an airport that could potentially go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I want you to consider this live event. It's a 2-day transformational live event doing all of this work that we're talking about in person. It's an experiential event. It's not an intellectual event. You're not going to have your notepad out taking a bunch of notes. You're going to have your sleeves rolled up, and we're going to actually make some of the shifts in your body that need to be made so that when you come back out of the event and back into your life and back into your Mary Kay business, you will feel different. You won't necessarily do different things, but you'll do things differently. You'll do it with a different energy. You'll do it with a different sense of confidence, a different sense of certainty, a different sense of joy, because your neurology has shifted. So February 2nd and 3rd in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, which is near Philadelphia. The cost of the event is $397, or if you need a payment plan, it's $167 times 3. Or if you need our support, call us or email us and tell us how committed you are to going to this event, and we'll discuss the options. So you can go to pinkcattycoach.com/IYB, which stands for Ignite Your Breakthrough. That's the name of the event. IYB-Philly. pinkcattycoach.com/IYB, B as in breakthrough, -Philly, PHILLY. If you're typing it in and you can't get there, then email me and I'll send you the direct link. So anybody that can get to Philadelphia February 2nd or 3rd will be there live. It's a Saturday, Sunday, and my intention is that you are transformed. If you're not going to go to the live event for whatever reason, then let us support you over the phone. Let us coach you. I shared some of the testimonials of people that have just been coached over the phone. We can provide a neurological shift. We certainly can provide the individual attention over the phone. And all of my breakthroughs in 13 plus years have either happened at live events or through private coaching calls. That's where all of my big breakthroughs have happened. And yet so many people aren't willing to do either of those two things for whatever reason, because the intellect is in control. So you can go to pinkcattycoach.com/book my call. No spaces, no dashes, nothing in between those words. Book my call for a complimentary 30-minute session of neurotransformational coaching. We'll help you with these 3 levels that I've talked about. We'll help shift some things that can be shifted in a single call. And I also don't want to set the expectation that your life is going to be changed in a single call and it doesn't require any effort beyond that. Remember, you can decide to make a shift, and you can even experience a neurological shift, and there's still behaviors that we have to deal with. There's still patterns that we have to deal with, you know. So I don't want you to think that we're guaranteeing in a single phone call you will then be on autopilot for the rest of your life, never have to give any kind of effort whatsoever, and everything magically will then just happen for you. That's a pipe dream. That's not true. But at the same time, we can give you a sense of clarity. We can give you a neurological shift in ways you've never experienced before for most people, and then talk about how can you keep this going. So this is not a one-time event where you're just going to have a shift and then never again work on it. If I would have just gone back home and not continued moving after my 2005 life coaching experience, I wouldn't have had all this stuff. And so don't think that this is just a drive-through experience, but will give you a level of clarity and a level of neurology understanding, neurological shifts that most people say they've never had before. And we're offering this to anybody that hasn't had a consultation in the last 3 months. So if you did this a while ago, jump on the phone again. You're a different person then. We're different people now. And hopefully you're going to have a different experience, a better experience. Even if it was a good experience, hopefully we can have a better experience. So the last thought I want to leave you with, first of all, I appreciate you being on. I appreciate your attention, your energy. I know I haven't been engaging with any of the comments on here because it takes away from the slide presentation if I open up the comments. So it's just a little bit inconvenient. So I apologize for not engaging for those of you that are online. For those of you that have been on the phone, if you want a copy of the slides, we're going to make this recording available so you'll be able to see the slides and get some of the visuals that I was referring to. But what I want to leave you with is a shift in question. Most people that are allowing their intellect to ask a very scary question. The question is, what bad thing might happen if I invest time, energy, or money into changing something? The intellect hates that question, and the intellect will come up with all kinds of reasons to say no. Remember, your intellect is committed to keeping you safe in your comfort zone where none of your goals and dreams live. So if you listen to your intellect, you will only be guided into a place of comfort and not a place of stretching and evolution and fulfillment and happiness. That's not what the intellect does. But the intellect runs the brain, and it causes most of us to ask the question, if I do this, what kind of money can I lose? What kind of embarrassment can I experience? What kind of judgment can I experience from other people? What can I lose, basically? That's the question that it's asking. And if you've done things in the past that haven't worked out and you're holding yourself accountable for those things, then your intellect will probably tell you that you're stupid, you're an idiot, all the things that you choose don't ever work out because you never commit. It's just scaring you to stay safe, that's all. That's what the intellect does. The most successful people that I know aren't driven by what bad thing could happen if I try to change my life. They're driven by what bad thing will happen if I don't try to change my life. And that's a pretty heavy question, because the answer to that question is a pain of your heart. It's a pain of regret. It's not a pain of losing money or losing favor or being embarrassed. That's what the intellect decides and convinces us is one of the worst things in life. And we will never look back on our lives and ask ourselves if we played it safe. So most people live lives committed to safety, and then at the end of their lives look back and don't care about safety. So just think about that for a second. Most people live their lives, their entire lives, according to a goal to be safe, and yet at the end of their lives, they will not care if they played it safe. They will only care if they lived while they were alive. We're only going to care if we went for it. We're only going to care if we went for our dreams. We're not going to care about the number of failures. We're not going to care about the embarrassment. We're not going to care about how much money we lost. We're not going to care about any of the disastrous things that the intellect scares us with. And we don't have to wait till the end of our lives. If we just listen to our heart more, then we'll also realize that we don't even care about those things now. We don't care about protecting ourselves from danger now as much as we care about going after our goals and dreams. So if you're more committed to going after your goals and dreams, then do whatever it takes, regardless of what you've tried in the past that has or hasn't worked. If you have more to do, then keep going. It's just that simple. If you have more that you want in your life, then keep going. Keep working on yourself. Keep untying those knots. Keep shifting the foundation. Keep reprogramming the programs that aren't working for you. It's that simple. And desperation is not going to do the work. Wanting it more is not going to do the work. Crying more is not going to do the work. Beating yourself up more is not going to do the work. The things that most humans do is not going to do the work. So my invitation to you, whether you join us in Pennsylvania or you take us up on a free coaching call that just might change your life with no risk of investment. I don't understand why anybody wouldn't do it. My invitation to you, whether you're going to join me or not, is to be more committed to achieving your goals and dreams than to staying safe. If you could just live according to that motto, that concept, you'll be fine. Because almost everybody is committed to staying safe. They're intellectually committed to goals, but that's just talk. But they're unconsciously and neurologically and emotionally committed to safety. And if you're more committed to staying safe and emotionally comfortable, that's also fine. Just stop beating yourself up for not achieving goals that you don't even really want. Then just let the goals go so that you don't create guilt when you're actually living the way you want to live. That's absolutely, totally fine. But you can't expect yourself to achieve goals while you're more committed to the path of comfort and safety. You have to choose one or the other. We're here to support you if you make the choice to go after your goals and dreams. We're here to support you. This is what I've been doing for 13 years. And there's not a single person that cannot do this work. Not a single person. Why? Because this work is about unprogramming and getting you back to your natural state. There's not a single person that can't get back to their natural state unless they've got some kind of like neurological damage from drug use or some kind of disease or something like that. But that's not going to be hardly anybody. I'm sure that's none of you on this call. Nobody is beyond reprogramming back to our natural state. So I hope you can find hope in that. I hope you can find maybe a level of excitement in that. And most of all, I hope you take action toward changing the recipe that is only able to produce what it's been producing. Change the recipe, you can change the output. I hope this has landed well with you. I said in the beginning, this is somewhat of a risk. People don't generally like to dive into the things that they actually need. We don't like talking about the uncomfortable stuff. And my hope and my wish is that your commitment to your dreams causes you to be more excited than the irritation of talking about things that are uncomfortable. And I want to hear how it landed for you. I'd love to get an email I'd love to get a post for those of you that are in the Pink Caddy group in Facebook, or any other way you can get to me. I'd love to hear how it landed for you, and especially how it helps you take a certain action that you haven't been taking in the past. We're here for you. We got you. We can help you do this work. You're not going to be able to do it on your own. Nobody ever has in the history of humanity. Don't try to be the first. I can't. I've been doing this for 13 years. I can't do it on my own. So don't try to follow a recipe that's not possible. We're here to support you in any way that we can, and I look forward to connecting with you further. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, and we'll talk to you soon.